Now, any accepted risk you face as a result of any job you're doing is called an occupational hazard. Any job you decide to do in life has hazards. And today, I want us to discuss about occupational hazards. Welcome. This is Alex Kasuli from Series Research Consultants. Now, to dig deeper, occupational hazards are any accepted risks, as I told you earlier, as a consequence of any particular job or occupation you do. All types of jobs we do in life have hazards. Whatever job you decide to do, be it an office job, be it an IT job, be it a casual job, be it as any given type of job, has what we call occupational hazards. And these hazards attack us each and every day. It's like a house. If you clean it and time passes, you'll find it dirty, whether you're in it or you're not in it, whether children are playing in it or they are not. So that's how hazards are in life, occupational hazards. Whether you kick them away or you don't, they're always there. So let's dig deep down into these demons and discuss them. There are majorly 5 types of occupational hazards. One is physical hazards. The second is chemical hazards. The third is mechanical hazards. The fourth is biological hazards. And the fifth and the most important one is psychosocial hazards. And this one faces all given types of work environments, no matter where it is. Psychosocial hazards face each and every one in a work environment. Okay, let's look at them in detail. Physical hazards, majorly, they attack the physical abilities, or they have potential to attack the physical movements of an employee. And these are majorly in 2 work-related environments where there is movement related. For example, if you're working on a site, a building site, you are faced by hazards. Let me say if you're working on a flat of heights, so you're faced with the hazard of height, meaning you have to protect yourself very well from heights such that you're not injured. Another example of physical hazard may be if you're working in a slippery environment, you're moving in a slippery environment, and your work is related to working in such a place, so you're faced with the hazard of injuring yourself, maybe falling down. If you're working in an industry, let me say a factory which has boilers, you're faced with the hazard of working in heat, and heat will affect your physical body, meaning that hazard has potential to harm you in the long run if you work exposed to that kind of heat. There are many hazards, physical hazards. Noise, if you're working in a noisy environment, all those are physical hazards we face every day in that given occupation you chose. So that's one. The second one, chemical hazards. These have potential if you're working in, let me say, in a lab, you're working with chemicals, or let me say you're a cleaner, you use chemicals to clean. So you are faced with the hazards of using chemicals. Maybe you're working with carbon monoxide, maybe you're dealing with all different types of fumes, insecticides, pesticides. All those are different types of hazards you'll be facing in your work environment. So it's up to you to be keen and get a potential qualified health practitioner to help you fight those hazards and work well with them. The reason as to why I'm making this video is not to just expose these hazards, but be aware and find remedies on how we can work balancefully with these hazards and we enjoy our lives. Because when we are faced with these hazards and they affect us, they retard our performances first of all, and still we will not work. Or in the long run, that's why you find people in the old ages, they are crying of diseases like cancer, diseases like many types of the backache. These are hazards they majorly faced in their work environments, and they did not keep track of them and they did not notice them. That's why they are sick, that's why they are down, that's why they are faced with all those types and types of diseases, cancer and what. Those are all potential hazards. So moving on, we talked of, first of all, physical hazards, chemical hazards, we have biological hazards. Biological hazards, these are hazards faced as a result of working with humans, human to human, working with animals, or working with insecticides. Yes. For example, let me give a live example. COVID-19 came and we are faced with the hazard of this disease. And our president was saying this disease does not carry itself. It is we humans who carry this disease. So this hazard is a biological hazard, which is a virus. So if we are working in environments and we are working among people, we are faced with hazards such as those diseases like COVID. If there are insects, maybe you have insecticides or insects you're working within which have potential to carry poison. So those are all hazards. If you're working in an environment which is, let me say, you're working with animals, you're working within animals, those animals have potential to affect you. You heard of birds flu and all these kinds of diseases. So it is our duty to notice all those types of hazards and protect ourselves from them by first of all seeking qualified advice on how to protect yourself from all these hazards. The fourth one is mechanical hazards. Mechanical hazards arise as a result of dealing with machines. You're working with machines in factories, cranes, electrical appliances or electrical machines. These are hazards. Let me give a live example of in a printer. There are big printer machines which work in molding of paper, cutting of paper. If you're not careful, these moving machines can harm you, injure you. They can cut off your hands. They can cut off your limbs. So these hazards are always there in these given work specifics, these given work environments. And if we are not careful, these hazards have potential to even eliminate our lives. They have potential to harm our lives. Mechanical hazards are related with machinery. Power short circuits, if you're working with machines and so they are poorly insulated, fire may break out. So these risks in your occupation, if you're an electrician, you're faced with that risk of a fire because you chose to be working in that field. So it is your responsibility to keep yourself safe with that risk. How? You know better. Wearing gloves when you're operating in that environment, being keen, testing each and everything that it is working properly. If you're working with moving objects, cranes, you have to always make sure, take precautions of whatever you're doing in that given working field you are in. These hazards have potential to harm us and take even our lives. And last but not least, the major type of hazard which affects all working sectors, doesn't matter whether you're in an office, doesn't matter whether you're in the field, you're doing an engineering job. This last type of hazard affects each and every one of us. This is psychosocial hazards. Psychosocial hazards come as a result of work-related stress. Maybe you're overworking and you come out, which leads you to a burnout. You overwork yourself and burnouts come. So psychologically, you'll be stressed. You'll face that stress if you always expose yourself to overworking. So you face with that hazard, and psychologically it will affect you and retard your performance. Bullies. In all given types of work environments, we have bullies around, and if you're not keen and if you're not careful, these bullies will pull you down. They will pull you down, and you're mentally ill, and you'll not produce the output your supervisor wants or your boss wants. So these psychosocial hazards are faced in each and every sector of work environment we live in. Sexual harassment. Your colleague, a beautiful girl, you can be even a man. Someone comes up with something and harasses you, wants to harass you sexually. So all these hazards, we face them each and every day. Violence at work, body odor. Someone doesn't have good body odor and you're working with them. Psychologically, it will affect you. But if you find a way of attacking and solving all these hazards, you will have a better work life, you'll have a better performance output. So you always have to, you and me have always you have to keep track of these hazards in each and every day of our life, such that we put them away, or we fight them, or we minimize them, or we totally put them out of our lives. These hazards are in existence and they have potential to harm to retard our performance, to harm us, and it is you and me to put them off or cut them down. Welcome to Occupational Hazards, and it is you and me to remove them out of our lives. If you have more information about occupational hazards, or you have more to add on, or what you want to add on, leave a comment. Tell me what you know about occupational hazards and how we can fight them out. Yeah. Thank you, and I wish you safe stay in your work.